So experiencing or seeking the above states can help open the doors to experiencing these next abilities, which are often observed with the beings. So no space. So earlier I talked about remote viewing. Remote viewing is very real. It's actually very fascinating to see how it's kind of taken off in the field. I see that there's a lot of people doing websites now and YouTube channels, and this is great. And it's all very real. You can prove these things to yourself. You don't need anyone to tell you that this is real. You can go and try and do these experiments yourself. And it is very real. Remote viewing is real. And again, there is credible research to back it up as an actual ability. And when you look at the nature of reality, talking quantum and stuff, it all just makes sense now that this is where the human is going, that the beings themselves have utilized all this. And then humans, this is all just kind of new and we're moving into it. So remote viewing is real. You have access to no space or all space within you, meaning you have access to all of everything. Everybody can experience remote viewing. So as I mentioned earlier, when I mentioned a quantum dimensional consciousness, dimensional as in there are degrees and intensities of consciousness. So you can experience degrees of remote viewing. You can portions of it, or you can open up to it fully, and you can go further down the rabbit hole of what remote viewing can actually do. And so there are degrees and intensities of this ability. So we can all experience remote viewing, but with focus, we can remotely put your ethereal body into the location which you review. So this is an extension of that. Now, I talked about focus earlier and how focus, that the brain is akin to a magnifying glass with the ability to focus. And when you focus intensely enough, you can create fire. Well, in the Vedic tradition, you use meditation as that ability to create pure focus. And there is a truth that when you have this ability to create focus, you get good at the subtle experiences. You get good at subtly understanding these different feelings and sensations of the subtle self, the ethereal self. So when you're remote viewing, the other step to remote viewing is literally pulling out your body, and in kind of a remote viewing state, like in a ethereal state, you're still in your body while you're meditating, yet you can project out a full body self. I've seen people do it. I've been the other end result of someone bilocating. Your body can materialize, as in bilocate. You will project out your ethereal self, this other higher self, and then it has the ability to create a body. Full body, a full visible body that can be touched, that can be handled by someone else. And you can pick up and talk and you can do things in that other space while you're still at home meditating or wherever you are. Now, this is high level. I'm not saying I've done this, but I have definitely been the end result of someone doing it and proved that they were somewhere else, thousands of miles away. I speculate control of the ethereal body is what allows for floating as well too. And when you look at people who talk about floating, this is what they're talking about. They're this high energy raised state that gets created in the ethereal self, and the ethereal self allows, while it's still housed in the body, allows for extraordinary manipulation of the physical universe. You can take, so this one is very fascinating. And it seems pretty much the experiences most contactees have and that I've witnessed as well too. And this is where I'm talking about the quantum kind of like collective consciousness effect. I really don't understand it fully. It seems like as humans, we collectively project out a human world. So when a gray alien comes here, it has the ability to make itself a human in an ethereal form. My gray alien did that. So it's part of my story. It's part in my book. My gray alien had a human body and she tricked me. She played a joke on me. And then my spiritual teacher caught it, and it's a whole synchronicity about it. So the other twist is that vice versa, humans have talked about becoming gray aliens on their ships. This is the ethereal body. This is the ethereal body transforming into the realm that it goes into. That is corroborated by my own spiritual teacher, who is a guru, who just doesn't teach me directly on this content because this is just out of this world. I actually just listen to him, and I may bring up pieces here and there. And he's randomly one day said, whatever realm you go to, you take on the body of that realm. And that's exactly what I see here. Ethereal bodies that when they're in this other, we aren't aware of the dimensional state we have here. We kind of don't, we think we just live out on this planet, but when another being comes here, it has the ability in an ethereal form to take on the body of the human while it's here. And that's a choice. It doesn't have to do that. But this is also demonstrated with shamans who do it with animals, and Skinwalker Ranch. The people who know the story of Skinwalker Ranch, there are bizarre animals there that seem to take on the lives of humans or personalities, or can walk. They can animals that can stand up and start walking. So these are the abilities of the ethereal body. That's exactly what this is. These are extensions of remote viewing, and as I said, everything is in degrees and intensities. And so the consciousness has these abilities. Remote viewing is just the beginning, and then you can continue moving on, having a developed body as you and play. This is the nature of the universe. This is the play of the nature of the universe. In no time, we all have past lives. The contactees have sometimes distinct and specific abilities. We know some contactees here who have like really heightened psychic abilities. Mine is my past life awareness. It's just such a weird thing. I'm actually currently writing a book about my past life awareness and just focusing on it because it's just so fascinating for me. And yet that awareness, I'm aware of other things as well too that I just can't talk about because it's too overwhelming, right? You can't over inundate with this stuff. But I'm aware I have multiple present lives. So my higher self, being this collective version of me, this higher version of myself, is, though I do actually say, I am it, but it is not me, meaning it doesn't have the face and think about me. I am my individual identity as me, but it is me. It's when I'm leave, it's an expanded version of me. And it has another offshoot living in another part of the planet. And I'm certain we all have these. Again, it's the tree, right? You're just a branch sprawling out all these versions to all manifest in physical reality. We also have future lives. And it sounds crazy, but I don't just have my past life awareness. Again, I just haven't talked about it too much. I also have future life awareness. I know where I'll be going after this. That's how insane it all is. Remember, I mentioned that I'm not getting that past life awareness because I'm thinking about memories. I'm not thinking, the example I use is bring up a memory when you're 14 years old. Just think right now what it was like to be 14 or maybe 16. Just pull up a memory of yourself. And you'll quickly realize that that is a distinct feeling. There's a feeling in the brain of going back to that path, to that age. Well, this is not where past lives live. Past lives don't live in some feeling of a further distance of time. The past life lives in the present moment, in the absolute, something that can be grasped. So then you would, if there's no space, no time, and that's where you're grabbing it, you would be able to have the ability to see future lives, and you would be able to see other present lives, which is everything that you can do. Again, these are the intensities about, and degrees and levels of degrees about consciousness. Of all of these, you can get either simple impressions or you can experience them fully. You can go back. I can go back to some of these past life awarenesses and see, I can feel the weather. I can smell. I can feel the sensations on my skin. So all of it still exists. It's all still there, available for you. Okay. I'm going to take a quick breather and let what's being said soak in. Okay, now expanded view of time. Now, the role of time in the abduction alien contact phenomenon is very interesting. It seems basically certain the beings can freeze time or create a contact event to happen in a space of no time. such as in the Jim Sparks contact events. Privately, I actually mull over that that's what happened to me, that's how some of this was, some of the contact events at least, that's how they were able to do what they did, was that they stopped time. And so for me, as a 16 or whatever I am, however old I am, I just think I'm walking from one spot to another, and they're literally creating a contact event in the middle of just you walking somewhere. And then they will just choose if they want you to know about that at a certain in that moment or not. The beings don't overtly talk to me about time in any of my contact events, but they do demonstrate an understanding of time that appears to suggest they have a greater view of time, or an expanded view of time. In my contact events, the beings display an awareness of an expanded view of time. So in my 7th contact event, so sorry, I can't describe too much here. It is for reference. It is in my book, but I'll just briefly mention contact event number 7 here, which occurred in November of 1997. The elder said to me, "You've made it to the end of your plan with us, and you will be successful." So they were going to create the rising, which is the kind of central focus of my content of my story. They were going to create this rising, and it happens in December 6th. In November, I guess weeks before it was set to occur, she says, "This will be successful." I said, I just want it to work out well. She says, "It does. The plans have been written, and this is the way it moves." So the rising occurs December 6th with my parents' move date of January 1st. So the words that she says displays an understanding of the amount of synchronicities that needed to occur to make me leave. So it must, from the outside, it probably doesn't look as from the inside, from my point of view, all I can say is that it is mind-boggling to me how this happened. And for me to, before I had memories of the contact events, the amount of synchronicities that funneled and moved and created these directions of my life blew me away at the time. And they were showing me that I was definitely meant to do what I was supposed to do. So although I found this, weird book, I bought the book. I didn't even want to buy the book. I didn't even like owning the book. And then when I started reading it, I had all these effects from it. And then I had my life fall apart. All these kind of synchronicities that seemed very real. They all kind of said, you need to be traveling and leaving your life. Only to find out that it wasn't just an alien contact that made that occur, but when she refers to it before any of the synchronicities have started. She refers to it before it actually started, the momentum of it started to actually get created. So their view of it was huge. They were able to, regardless of the synchronicities occurring or not, they were able to see that it actually occurred, because she says, the plans have been written and this is the way it moves. She knew very clearly that this is where it was going. And I have a friend who actually describes it kind of like a spider web, regardless of where. So you place the human at a certain spot in the spider web, and regardless, all these events are going to occur, even though they seem random for us in the moment. They are actually meant to be, and you live them like they are new every time, and you're wondering why you're being spoken this and you're being said about to do this, and yet when you do them, they shape you and they shape this direction. And so for you, it feels fascinating, and you've kind of walked through these synchronicities. Yet for the beings, it looks to me like they are able to see that the synchronicities will occur, and that you will make certain choices off those synchronicities. It's very fascinating. So I describe it here. I'm going to repeat it. It would best be described like individual events are points of the spider web. Once you're in position, regardless of how unstatistically probable any event is to occur, they are definitely going to occur, because I was definitely going to make those certain choices. It's very fascinating. So in my other contact event, so I remember in one of my presentations, I've also talked about, they repeat things with me. So when they do something, they'll do it twice. Well, here's the second time they did the exact same thing, showing me this expanded view of time. So in contact event number 22, she says, "There's a great new future awaiting you." I point out that this is obviously before June 21st, because I'm in Squamish when I have this contact event number 22, and it is in June, possibly early June. So for those who know my story, I meet my to-be spouse in July, who ends my traveling, who ends this whole period. So the beings clearly display this expanded view about me going to travel, and then have an expanded view about me ending traveling. So these words display an understanding of the amount of synchronicities, again, the amount of synchronicities that were needed to occur to find my spouse. Hitchhiking that exact day, the day that I hitchhiked to Nelson, going to a specific hostel, waiting in the lobby, all these events that needed to occur. I didn't even trust that I should actually date this girl. So I had all these resistances, and I had all these thoughts of myself, and it looked like I didn't want to be with her because I was a traveling guy. So all these synchronicities still needed to occur, and for her, everything's decided. Doesn't matter that these things that look like random choices, for her, everything is set in stone, and that's going to occur. Very fascinating. So never mind me just waking up to the realization that these events were kind of influenced by alien contact. These other questions that they were certain of their end result, these periods of my life that seemed so random, that seemed so filled with opposing synchronicities, that they could sit at one end of it and say, oh, definitely going to happen, no problem. So the abduction contactee experience can include psychic abilities. That's documented in Dr. David Jacobs' book, The Threat, where he even admits that contactees do actually come from contact events and can have a heightened state of psychic abilities, where they're able to feel events before they occur. They can feel people who are about to contact them, or they can feel that a certain thing's going to happen throughout the day. And I had that too. I document that in my 6th contact event, where I had this kind of increase in psychic abilities. Fifth contact event. Yeah, sorry, 5th contact event, the one outside Belcarra. And synchronicities are also really much a part of the abductee contactee experience. My story goes a step further, and it includes visioning. So visioning is the projecting of feelings and images to create a certain outcome that, when manifests, is beyond statistical chance. So the truth about what visioning is knowing a certain event is going to occur. Let's say in the case of traveling, I want to make sure that I found a place to sleep for the night. So instead, I would live the present. I would live the future moment as if it's the present. I would see the end results, and I'd feel the end result. And here I am imagining it fully and completely, and I'm living it as if it's a present moment experience. Remember that no space, no time. And so here I am being able to experience it. And what I found, beyond statistical chance, that thing would manifest. And some of them were very specific, and I can make those things specific, and those specific things beyond chance would actually be created and manifest. So that is an extension of synchronicities. It's a version of the whole game here. And the beings definitely displayed an interest in this. And this is the HG connection. I mentioned in chapter 10 what the crazy people who the book I read, and the people who from the book I read, the main part that I got from them is that they lived this life of relying on the universe and having beyond statistical chance events occur that guided them. And that's what happened to me. And these all kind of seem to speak about a larger experience going on here that the beings themselves were very interested in. This is the HG connection, a group of people relying on statistical chance. Oh, I was meant to say chance to survive. So psychic abilities, synchronicities, and visioning could all be considered the manifestations of an expanded view of time. Visioning is the projected, let me back up because I want to say this. Visioning is the projected desire of the future event, but seeing it occurring in the present, how you want it to occur. You're not seeing it in the future. You're seeing that future event here now. And this is how you want it to go. Okay, so humans' experience of time is linear. And psychic abilities, i.e. sensing events in the future, would definitely be considered an expanded view of time. Considering contactees can have these experiences, and the aliens themselves can sit there and say, you're definitely going to have certain end results happen, then they're very aware of this kind of expanded view. Synchronicities could be the manifestations of the universe obeying a quantum observer effect over time, meaning an observer requires information or an event to happen, and the universe aligns to provide it. And these could include meaning-making scenarios. So it would be personal to the individual. The universe is literally doing something that is personal to the individual. That root energy of synchronicity would therefore originate from an expanded view of time. Envisioning the manifestation of projected feelings and thoughts about desired outcomes could also be the universe obeying a quantum observer effect over time. In this case, the root energy originates in the present, yet the manifestation would occur in an expanded view of time. So in summary, when we rely on consciousness and are having psychic events, synchronicities, or changing the universe through visioning, and we live in confidence of our knowing about these things, then we are living in an expanded view of time. This is akin to how the masters, the enlightened ones on our planets, behave. It's not just aware, okay, I think something's going to happen. You're living with confidence. You are so good at that level of communication with your consciousness that you live in a knowing about it. You have breached the brain, living in almost the mythos, the allowing the creativity to exist, allowing the larger aspect of life to exist, and knowing and living in a knowing state about it. That's how the masters and enlightened ones behave. And it looks like that's exactly how gray aliens handled my scenario. Complete confidence. And I'm not denying that they may have had technology to help them do that. Regardless, they're still living in it. They're living in an expanded view of time. Okay, I'll give a second here to take a breather again. The telepathy I experienced with the beings was very fascinating. And I learned a lot just from having the continuous experience of telepathy with them. So you are a dimensional being that is always projecting out energy in the form of thoughts and feelings. The experience of telepathy is subtle, but we can train ourselves to be receptive to it. Most are unaware how much a single thought contains. Thoughts are made up of a state of being, so a being state. So you're projecting your being, who and what you're being, and you take on a state of being. You say, I am happy, I am sad. Every thought has an intention. There is a root intention, the desired intention. What are you trying to get out of this thought? Or not out of the thought, but what are you trying to get out of the event about what you're thinking about? You have an intention for the thought. The thought has an intention. Every thought has an image. When I was teaching meditation, one of my favorite things was people realizing how many thoughts have images. Most people just think that they're thinking, and they're not realizing that it's actually imagery that they're producing. And thoughts are layered based on previous ideas or experiences, meaning thoughts can have root intentions and root images buried in them. I would say a lot of people are unconscious about the root intentions and the root images that are buried in their minds, buried in their thoughts. A being who is skilled at telepathy, such as a gray alien, will be skilled at being receptive to these and communicating with them. And this is displayed throughout my contact events. And I do try to mention it as often as I can in my book when I'm receiving intentions, I'm receiving feelings, projected feelings that have intentions, or being states, I'm experiencing images, or sometimes they're actually communicating with direct words, or it's kind of punches of direct communication. So downloads are large packets of information about a specific topic and contain information unknown to the conscious mind of the receiver. It can come from outside the individual in a channeled form, communicated from a spiritual being, or delivered from some energetic repository of information. But it can also simply be in the subconscious of an individual and released at a specific time. Gray aliens have been well known for communicating with downloads, but our understanding of them seems incomplete. Some downloads given do seem biological in nature. They appear to use the optical pathway They can go into the brain and they can imprint things into the brain. I definitely, when the elder was using the blue vortex in my 7th contact event, that is exactly what she was doing. She was imprinting information into the subconscious. And it was biological in nature. Yet some downloads are in fact a natural byproduct of telepathy. The sender of telepathy can imprint their subconscious onto the receiver's subconscious. I know this because I experienced, after several years of telepathy with aliens, I then experienced it with the humans, several humans, and I learned some things about telepathy from those two differences. In my 23rd contact event, I have telepathy. I meet humans who are all in the same program that I'm in. It's kind of like the end of that period of my life, and I meet these humans. And one of the humans was idolized being a saint. He was a Christian. He was from the Congo in Africa, and he did this kind of selfless work. He helped children and he helped the poor, and he kind of lived this. He was Christian, idolized saintlyhood, and he had the white room experience and yet his other self didn't know. So he was living this kind of two double lives, and he knew it was a result of alien contact on the ship, but his other self was, he just thought he experienced the Christhood. And it's the profound thing that happened when I was in telepathy with that individual was he, like someone who would practice spirituality, practice meditating, practice trying to purify their mind, their brain, you end up having a pure experience of pure consciousness. You are closer to the source, like the gray aliens are. And so his telepathy was stronger. His telepathy was so meaning that when he projected his telepathy, he was projecting larger, more of his subconscious, and I was able to internalize it and treat it like a download, so I could talk about it myself. So here I say, when the sender's consciousness is pure or closer to source, they have a greater ability to imprint on the receiver, turning normal thoughts into rich imagery and feeling that can be given to the receiver, with which they can draw from at later times and express in their own words. That's exactly what downloads are, right? You're given this subconscious data, this subconscious imprinting and information, and then I can draw on that later on. I can know what he meant, what he said, what he was experiencing. I can reword it to make it make sense for myself. And my own guru, my own spiritual teacher, has a line: knowledge can be transferred, but wisdom cannot be transferred. Wisdom can only be transmitted. This is the experience of being with a higher person, a higher individual, a higher consciousness being. They feel different when they're communicating. They're transmitting. They're giving downloads, right? They're projecting an energy outwards. This is what the effect Jesus had on people. It's talked about in the Bible. He had this kind of effect. People were wanting to be around him because he was projecting downloads on people. That's subconsciously, that's what was happening in the normal language between the two voices. But on the subtle, it was telepathic imprints is what's being created. So, okay, that's the larger picture. We're going to do an exercise, and then we'll summarize everything up and we'll do a Q&A. Okay, take a drink of water. So earlier, I described the brain's role is to focus. It is in concentration that opens up some of the more subtle experiences of consciousness. So now we're going to do an exercise. We're going to do a meditation. But first, we are going to describe the different levels of focus. So these are Sanskrit words, and this is from the ancient sage Patanjali. He describes the 8 arms of meditation, and this is kind of what I do follow generally, and use this to teach because it does a really good job at breaking down the micro experiences of meditation. And I do find this is from my experience, this is what I use to push not to push my mind out of the way, but to get it in a space beyond my mind and therefore access kind of pure consciousness. So dharana. Dharana is grabbing onto your object of focus. Meditation starts with a singular act of concentration. Concentration is called dharana. Well, dhyana is continuous concentration. So these two are very different and each carry a distinct feeling. So for an example, see an object in your environment. So find something. So you just finding it and putting the focus there, that's dhyana, that's dharana. That's you're grabbing onto it. Now focus on that object continuously. When the continuous concentration has quieted your mind, that is dhyana. The distinction is dhyana is the continuous flow of cognition, the feeling of holding the one pointed focus, like a stream of water, constant and continuous. Now today, that's probably going to be the gist of it. Maybe if you're experienced in meditation, you may have experiences of samadhi. Samadhi is the desired state. It's that one pointed focus turning into samadhi. Samadhi is the experience of unity in meditation and should flow naturally from dhyana. Samadhi is a door opened, a light revealed, a curtain peeled back. Deep dhyana develops into samadhi. Samadhi is like the calm of the ocean when there are no waves. Samadhi can only be experienced and not spoken of. It is multidimensional, expressed as light seen. Samadhi in Sanskrit means becoming the same. That is, becoming one into unity. Going to put on some meditation music. Okay, so with your eyes still open, I'm going to be asking you to seeing a blue dot. You'll be seeing with your blue dot with your eyes closed in between your eyebrows. Imagine the blue dot somewhere about here. So you'll be imagining a blue dot in that spot there. Now close your eyes. Breathe in through your nose. Breathing into your belly. And out through the nose. And just let a natural rhythm occur. In the nose, into the belly. Out through the nose, out from the belly. Just relax. And just take a second to be in peace. Now gently bring your mind, your focus to a blue dot in between your eyebrows. Just grab on a single point of focus, and try to experience continuous concentration on that blue dot. Focusing on the blue dots. If your mind wanders, no problem. Just bring it back. Try to bring yourself to a place of continuous concentration. Okay, so keep your eyes closed. The point was to just get you to experience that stream of concentration. When that is practiced, you remove your mind. You remove your mind from your experience. You can continue to experience being pure consciousness with the mind removed, with continuous concentration. Still with your mind, with your eyes closed, just think about, just allow your thoughts to just flow. And I want you to see your thoughts. Maybe, what are you doing after this presentation? See the thought, whatever the thought is, just have a thought, let your thoughts exist. And focus on that thought. Can you say what the intention of that thought is? Can you describe the imagery of the thought? All of our thoughts are much bigger than we make them out to be. Our thoughts are coming from pure consciousness, being filtered by the mind. Every thought is consciousness. Lastly, with your eyes still closed, feel your being. Feel your heart. Feel your being. What are you being right now? If I was to ask you what you are being, what are you being right now? Take a breath in through your nose, into your belly, and then out. And you can open your eyes when you're ready. So in summary, God is the answer. Unity is the answer. Purity of consciousness, the child self, the creative self. It's all in what you focus on. It's all in your power of thoughts. Conversations with God says the purpose of life is for you and all that lives to experience fullest glory. My teacher says the purpose of life is the expansion of happiness. And I would add to this and say the purpose of life is to embody the higher self. All of these are the same thing. Our fulfillment comes from a reliance on the universe, knowing we are in a symbiosis with it, all that is, knowing we are supported. That means your thoughts and desires are the universe's thoughts and desires. You are a creator with the full power to create through visioning. We are all literally creating the universe around us. Lastly, you are God. Look at the stars, look at the mountains, and say, I created that. All the power that ever was and will be is in you right now. It's just awaiting your recognition. Okay. So thank you, everybody. Thank you for being here. Thank you for coming. And we'll open it up for a Q&A. And yeah. So thank you, everybody. You can visit my website, jeffsilver.com.